All right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. So, for anyone who's watching after the fact, who might be curious about what I'm talking about here, what triggered me to make this, it actually has to do with the somewhat recent PewDiePie incident. Hey, Chaz. Hey, Danish. What's up? But that's what initially did it. I actually just went through and watched a video on a channel called Pretty Good Gaming, and some shit was said on there that actually kind of fucking pissed me off. And I am not a PewDiePie supporter or anything like that. I'm not even a fan of his. I don't think I'm even subscribed to him. But I'm familiar with what happened. For those who aren't familiar with what happened, he was live streaming a game, and he ended up getting frustrated. He thought of the worst word that he could say, and it just came right the fuck out. And so he ended up sitting there and calling someone a nigger. And, you know, big shocker in the gaming world. I mean, that is not something that's uncommon at any point. Hey, love, what's up? But the thing is when people reacted to this, everyone's sitting there and trying to put all the blame of what's happening to YouTube in PewDiePie's lap. They're playing the blame game. And the thing is honestly, PewDiePie was just an excuse. But the thing is if anyone's unfamiliar with it, which if you're on YouTube, you know what's been going on. You know about the adpocalypse and all that sort of shit. The adpocalypse doesn't personally affect me because I don't monetize my videos, so it's not that big of a deal to me. But people are sitting there and trying to say that somehow PewDiePie or Felix is somehow to blame solely for the adpocalypse. And then they sit there and go, oh, well, it's not actually just him, but he is the biggest YouTuber, and he's the one who brought this light. No, he's not the one that brought this to light. The smear piece that was written on him was what brought to light the advertisements being ran next to terrorist recruitment videos. But the fact of the matter is at this point, people are sitting there and so worried about their careers on YouTube, and I understand it. I mean, especially if they've, you know, spent a lot of years and put in blood, sweat, and tears into building up their channels. I get it. I understand. But the thing is don't sit there and try to blame Felix for the hypersensitivity of people. That is not his fault. If he wants to go ahead and say shit like that, let him. If someone doesn't like what he says or how he talks or something like that, they just won't watch his videos. But these companies are trying to sit there and say, oh, well, if he's playing our game, or if an advertisement of ours is ran on his video, then people are going to think that we condone that. No, they're not. No one ever fucking thinks that. Not unless you specifically go to the person and say, hey, we want you to advertise our product for us, which is very different from a random AdSense ad being put on to a fucking video. They purchase view time. That's what they fucking do. So whatever is popular, they want their video there. Hey, NYC, what's up? But the fact of the matter is at this point, people are trying to blame PewDiePie for the adpocalypse and the coming thing, which is more focused on a more specific group in YouTube, which is going to be the gaming groups. But the thing is, it ain't his fucking fault. Let's be fully fucking honest here. Let's be fully honest with ourselves. It ain't his fucking fault. In fact, I actually support him in him being able to say whatever the fuck he wants to say. If he wants to have absolutely no fucking filter and just as something pops into his mind, it pops out of his mouth, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone else should give a fuck. And then you got the, oh, but think of the children, because a lot of kids, you know, watch his content. It's all like, yeah, and it's not his fault if his content isn't child friendly. Just because you get a specific group of people watching you all of a sudden doesn't make it so you have to change your content. Like if all of a sudden I had a whole bunch of 10-year-olds watching my content, you would not see a single fucking thing change. My language would stay the same. My premises would stay the same. It doesn't fucking matter. No one should ever have to change their content because of who's watching. If people are so worried about kids watching Felix's content, then maybe the parents should actually do some fucking goddamn parenting. That's all there is to it. And a lot of people are saying that that's just the answer right there, is maybe parents should actually be parents again, instead of sitting there and letting teachers raise their kids. Letting the teachers teach their kids all the big lessons, which I think is actually somewhat accurate. I will agree with that to a degree. Kids are going to learn from multiple sources, but the main source that a lot of kids tend to learn from whenever the effort's actually put in is from their parents. Oh, and you know what, guys? I'm just going to be completely honest. I don't care if someone's saying nigga or nigger. I don't give a fuck. It's still just as fucking stupid. It doesn't fucking matter to me. And I hate the whole, that's our word. You can't say that word. That's our word. No. No one owns language. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you think you are. And if you're sitting there and saying, oh, this word is offensive to me, so it's our word, only we can use that word. Why are you wanting to use a fucking word that's offensive to you, you fucking dumbass pile of shit? That's always my response. And at that point, it's not them taking the word back. It's them keeping the wound open so they can continue to play the fucking victim. And that's with any fucking racial slur. And the thing is what's causing this adpocalypse, what's causing all these fucking problems for YouTube is the fact that YouTube keeps capitulating to fucking snowflakes. They're capitulating to snowflakes. Same thing with these advertisement companies. Same thing with these large corporations. Here's a little bit of a fucking wake-up call for all these corporations. The people that are sitting there bitching and complaining and pissing and whining and moaning, guess what? They're not buying your shitty little products. All right? They're either going out there spending mommy and daddy's money on the super high-end stuff that you have no fucking hand in making, and you have absolutely no stake in whether or not the company that's making that is making money or not. Either that or they're too fucking poor because mommy and daddy cut them off and they're little worthless fucking degree got them absolutely nowhere. And so now they're flipping burgers right along with high schoolers, which I think is a pretty good fucking place for them to be. Reason why? They have the same fucking mentality. They have the exact same amount of brain power as someone that's maybe fresh out of high school. In fact, I think the high schooler might have a little bit more brain power. And no, I haven't seen that clip. Go ahead and DM me the link, Chaz. Chaz asked me if I saw the clip of a man in Detroit who tells the news lady, I don't take orders from women. No, I haven't seen that. DM me the link, and I'll go ahead and watch it. But the fact of the matter is at this point, people are trying to blame Felix for all this shit. And I'm all like, you know what? Not a fan of his, not a supporter of his, really. I mean, I've watched some of his shit before, but I mean, honestly, who on YouTube hasn't? You know, you've at least watched one video of his. Let's all be honest here. Because you got curious and you were like, well, what's the big fucking deal? And he's obviously doing something that people like. Maybe it's the fact that, oh, I don't know, he doesn't have much of a fucking censor. And he does a whole lot of fucking shit. But it ain't his fucking fault. And people are sitting there and applauding the abuse of the DMCA system that they're using to try to take down his videos. Like that one company that made some little shitty fucking walking simulator game. They're abusing the DMCA system. It's all like, no one should be applauding abuse of the DMCA system. When the DMCA system is used to censor people, at that point, absolutely no one should be applauding it. Everyone should be booing that shit. That's when it's okay to sit there and go, shame, shame. That's when it's okay. Because at that point, they're using a fucking loophole in the law to censor people. They're using a law that was put in specifically to protect big corporations and say, fuck the little guy. And I don't care if it's happening to someone like me or to someone like Felix. It doesn't fucking matter. And me and him are as different as you can get when it comes down to monetary class. He has millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And I have millions upon millions upon millions of nothing. All right? We're very fucking different. We're in very different places. Not just physically, but economically. We are in very different places. But it doesn't fucking matter. He should have no more and no less rights and protections than me. He should have no more and no less rights and protections than you. Or the next person. But the thing is at this point, we're seeing people sitting there playing this blame game. We're all losing in it. Because the only thing that's happening is now people are getting more and more and more afraid. It's been said before, and I'll say it again here. Fear breeds hatred. Period. You hate the things that you fear the most. And these large corporations sitting here and buying into this bullshit of, oh, well, people are going to think that you... That tells me right there, like, if these corporations honestly think that you are going to have the thought in your head that if you see an advertisement running on something, that whatever that advertisement is being ran on supports the content of what it's being ran on. If they honestly think that about you, you should be insulted. Because they think that you are the dumbest pile of shit ever to exist on the planet. You should actually feel insulted there. They are insulting your intelligence. They are saying that you are so stupid that you can only link concepts that are directly in front of your face and you can't tell the difference between different concepts. That is what they are saying to you when they say that about you. That's what they're saying, Rupert. They're saying you're a fucking moron. They're saying you're a fucking idiot. But the fact of the matter is at this point, the blame game has gotten so far out of control. Now, if you're sitting there and you're looking for, a pivotal moment, all right, fine. But someone like Felix isn't going to be enough to take down YouTube. The worst thing that he could fucking do is lose his supporting base. That's all he could fucking do. And these advertisement companies, they don't actually give a fuck. They don't actually believe the narrative that you're sitting there and saying that that you're saying that if an advertisement runs on something, that you automatically think that the company that paid for that advertisement is supporting whatever video you're watching. They don't believe that. They're using this as an excuse to try to use it as a bargaining chip to get cheaper prices. That's all they're fucking doing. They're using it as a cudgel to beat YouTubers over the head. And not just YouTubers. Because if that was really the fucking case, if they honestly fucking thought that shit, absolutely no one would have advertised on Game of Thrones after the rape scene. But you didn't see that, did you? Nope. You saw more and more people vying to get their advertisements put on in the same block of time as Game of Thrones. Why? Because there were more eyes there. So the whole narrative is fucking bullshit because it doesn't matter whether or not the content is online or coming through a fucking cable box. It doesn't fucking matter. It would hold true across everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and say this. People who sit there and try to blame Felix for this are just reacting out of fucking fear, and they're looking at all the wrong places trying to place blame. That's all that's going on here. Doesn't matter what language he uses. It doesn't matter how foul his language gets. It never mattered before, and it doesn't matter now. The only difference now is that there are people that are exclaiming their fucking outrage, trying to say that because they're offended for some odd reason, the person that offended them needs to be destroyed. And anyone who has even the most tentative connection with that person needs to be destroyed. It's basically the same type of thing as if someone was to go out, rape a child, and then everyone that they work with at their job gets arrested and thrown into prison. It's the same fucking concept. It's a guilt by association bullshit, and it's always been bullshit. So if you're looking for someone to quote unquote blame for this, look at the groups that believe in guilt by association. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm referencing. I don't think I actually have to fucking say it. If you want to go ahead and try to point the finger at someone, don't sit there and point the finger at the person that sat there and did something on their own. Point the finger at groups that are going out and specifically making it not okay to do what that person did. We need to stop trying to point the finger at other people. Everyone wants the scapegoat. Everyone wants their Azazel. But you know what? Fact of the matter is when you point the blame at someone else, then people are going to start looking at what you've done. Because they're going to be sitting there and looking to see if you've done anything to try to avoid that. And when they see that you haven't, now you are guilty by association. So how about this? Save yourself the fucking time. Support someone for expressing themselves however the fuck they want. They want to throw out racial slurs? Let them. They just won't have a fucking audience. But don't sit there and try to say, oh, well, this is causing issues for everyone on YouTube. No. That ain't the fucking case here. What's causing the issue is sheer greed from these advertisement companies. And they're using a fucking scapegoat. Right now, that scapegoat is Felix. They're just trying to get a cheaper fucking price. That's all there is to it. And the thing is whenever Felix does something like this, searches for YouTube go through the fucking roof. They get even more fucking traffic. So it's not actually hurting anything. In fact, it's bringing in more traffic to YouTube whenever something like this happens. If you really think that this is hurting YouTube in any way, shape, or form, then you're deluding yourselves. What's hurting YouTube the most is identity politics, political correctness. That's what's killing YouTube. It's not any individual saying some mean words every once in a while. Because the fact of the matter is if that was the way that it worked, then you could point at my channel and say that I'm the single solitary reason why YouTube went down. Because the shit that I say is infinitely worse than anything Felix has ever said or done when it comes to political correctness. But that's because I have adopted the mentality of fuck your feelings. If I can sit there and cause you physical issues with nothing but words, either my voice is exceedingly fucking powerful and I'm a walking god, or I'm sitting there and just exposing your open, raw nerves. I'm exposing your weakness at that point. And it's the same thing with Felix. If he goes ahead and he throws out some racial fucking slur, whatever. But I suggest you go ahead and watch the video that I linked down in the description below. And now the channel that has that video that I linked down below, I actually watched their shit. I'm actually subscribed to them. I'm actually subscribed to them, and I love a lot of their work. But this piece right here is the first one that ever got a thumbs down from me. Because at this point, what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the blame and responsibility off of YouTube, off of a company, and put it onto Felix. And like I've said before, I'm not a subscriber to Felix, never been much of one to defend him. I think he has some good content, and I think that a lot of his content is just fluff. But that's my personal opinion of it. But he has a bunch of subscribers for a reason. People enjoy his content. People enjoy his style. I personally can't blame him. The guy's got an over-the-top personality. The guy's, you know, he's got some swagger going on. All right? Let's be fucking honest. Guy's got some fucking swagger. And that's the reason why he has the subscriber base that he has. And if they actually gave a shit, if so many people actually gave a shit about this stuff, and were actually going to take their business elsewhere, they would have done it already. Hey, Papa MGTOW, how's it going? That's just the simplistic way of looking at this. I mean, yeah, it's true. But the thing is, it's a very simplistic way of looking at it. But I am so sick and tired of people trying to blame Felix for all of the ills that have been born from political correctness. I'm so sick of it. And the first quote-unquote issue that happened where the New York Slimes, it was either the New York Slimes or the Washington Compost, it was one of the two, decided to go ahead and write that hit piece on him. The thing is even in his reaction in the video, you could see he was all like, I can't believe they actually fucking did it. He probably expected them to have some scruples about it. But no, he ends up taking the blame for those other people not having the scruples. For not saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do this. But the thing is when you actually look at the situation and how it played out, it wasn't shit like what Felix did that caused people to get into an uproar is because people started sitting there and going, well, if these people were willing to do this and completely throw away their scruples for money, let's go ahead and actually take a look. Yeah, I've seen that meme, Chaz, the Hillary golf ball meme. I've seen that, and I think it's fucking absolutely hilarious. And the fact that the media is just all like, people are sitting there going, well, it's tasteless. Yeah, that's the reason why it's fucking funny. I love a lot of tasteless humor. But the thing is when it comes down to shit like what Felix does, if he says something, and the thing is, the guy even came out and apologized afterward. So I don't get I don't get where the fucking issue is. I don't get why people are still fucking harping on this. Oh, I do get why people are harping on it, because you know, anytime someone screws up, they have to make them pay for it for 6 months or more. They can't just let it go. Even after the person apologizes, they can't accept the apology and fucking move on. But yeah, no, blaming Felix for the whole adpocalypse thing is absolute crap. It boils down to it just being PC culture and people being oversensitive at this point. If you don't like his stuff, if you don't like what he does, then don't watch him. Because the thing is, if people don't watch him, then guess what? It doesn't matter if there's ads running on his videos or not. He won't make the fucking money. The open market would choke him out. But no, they're not doing that. They're trying to artificially do it now. Because they've seen that there are much fewer people than what they expected that are buying their bullshit. Advertisers have been just waiting for an excuse to go ahead and try to get a cheaper fucking deal. Which is, I mean, it's business. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not faulting them necessarily on that. But the thing is political correctness and identity politics has served as a fucking lightning rod for all of this shady behavior. And now people are using it as an excuse to pull some of the slimiest shit that you can possibly pull in any business world. I shouldn't even say some of the slimy shit. I'm going to say all of the slimiest shit. DMCA takedowns to censor people, fucking forcing people to change their fucking content or tell them that they can't make money off of said content. I mean, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And then people are sitting there and going, oh, well, when this person does this, it affects us. It's all like, well, why does it affect you? Are you the one who fucking did it? No. How about instead of going after that person, tell people to not use a fucking shotgun in a situation that, at best, needs a scalpel? How about that? How about we stop blaming other channels for the actions of one? It's just like with the MGTOW community. One MGTOW person sits there and says something exceedingly fucking stupid, and then everyone says, oh, look at that. All MGTOWs are just fucking morons. Really? Or you get some hyper radical in a group and people go, oh, that's indicative of the entire group. No, it's not. You have to listen to a bunch of people in a group. A bunch of people that have that fucking mindset before you can make that fucking judgment. And I'm not going to sit there, watch a feminist fucking video, then see an MRA advertisement on the fucking feminist video and think, oh, MRA support feminists. It's fucking stupid. It's moronic. How about everyone start activating your fucking brain, get those neurons firing, and think about the situation. It's not that hard. I know if you haven't used your brain for a while, it might be a little bit uncomfortable for you. Might give you a little bit of a headache. Take some aspirin and get the fuck over it. People are sitting here and looking at a business practice and trying to blame it on an individual. What the fuck? Really? Businesses are always trying to cut cost. Let's be fucking honest here. Because that's how they make a profit. Is by reducing their costs. It's either that or they raise the price of their items. Well, whenever a business raises the price of their items, everyone loses their fucking goddamn shit. So that only leaves them with one option now, doesn't it? And some of the biggest costs for a lot of businesses is advertisement. So, of course, they're going to try to trim the fat there. How do they do that? Oh, well, they look for better advertisement deals. And right now, they're using a piss poor fucking excuse that's being propagated by special little snowflakes who are the only ones that believe the shit and who aren't even buying the products to begin with. And in the world of business, less advertisement typically leads to less sales. So these companies at this point are actively costing themselves sales by not getting as many eyes on their advertisements as possible. So it's even stupid as far as a business move is concerned. And I've already talked about I've already talked about virtuous bankruptcy before. Where a company will sit there and purposely do something that it knows is going to hurt its business to either signal boost some fucking other bullshit that's important to the CEO of the company or to some of the heads of the company, whatever. Whoever's actually calling the fucking shots. Either that or just a virtue signal. Like with what Pepsi did. Pepsi regretted its decision. And it decided to change its tone right quick and in a hurry. Because all of a sudden, Pepsi sales started going through the fucking floor. And they instantly changed their fucking tone. Because they realized that the people that they were pandering to weren't their actual target audience. A soda company's target audience is not, and I repeat, is not people that sit there and think that killing animals and eating them is somehow inherently fucking wrong. If you're selling something that isn't grass-based, then guess what? Maybe you shouldn't go ahead and pander to celery munchers. Welcome to Business 101. Know your target audience. Funnily enough, their target audience is motherfuckers like me. So throwing that PC bullshit into their advertisements, refusing to advertise on stuff that I'm going to fucking see, is only hurting their business. Because it doesn't matter how many of the loony left they fucking show their advertisements to, they're not going to fucking buy their product. They're too busy paying $5 for a small bottle of water. It's funny, a lot of businesses have forgotten Business 101. And so we're seeing businesses starting to feel the hurt, and all of a sudden they're changing their tone and going back to the group that they know will buy their shit. But then you've got dumbass motherfucker companies like Google who sit there and say, oh, well, we're not going to allow you to advertise on that content. Well, we want to. Well, we're not going to allow you to. And then YouTube gets pissed off when people sit there and do advertisements in their videos for companies, paid advertisements for them. YouTube's getting pissy about that. Interesting, isn't it? But that's because then YouTube doesn't get a cut of the money. YouTube wants companies to have to go through AdSense to advertise at all on someone's content. Well, that's not how it fucking works. Because if you're sitting there and refusing the business to these companies, if AdSense is saying, no, we're not going to offer the service that you are requesting, then they're going to go straight to the source. Pretty simple business tactic there. Then it cuts out the middleman. That means the amount of money that they have to pay out is less outright. And it means that more people are going to get their eyes on it because then their advertisement shows up every time in the video. I don't see that being a losing situation for a company or for someone who's selling a product. Like, I wouldn't have any scruples if some company was to come to me and say, hey, during your live streams, will you go ahead and mention our product here? You know, here's a little script thing, whatever. I wouldn't have a problem doing that if they were going to go ahead and pay me for it. Because everyone needs to make a living, right? Now, at that point, you could sit there and think, well, maybe the company actually supports what this motherfucker's saying. But when it comes to something like AdSense, where it just kind of sits there and looks at someone's browsing history and goes, all right, they'll probably like this, so we're going to go ahead and show this advertisement, then there you go. And here's another thing. Why is it people that are actually using AdSense on YouTube, why can't they sit there and go, all right, I don't want this company, or this company's shit being advertised on my videos? Why is that not a thing? Why is it only the companies that can sit there and say, oh, well, I want to be advertised on this video, and this video? Why is it only companies that can do that? Because the thing is, if you're trying to make the argument that advertising on a video means that they support said video, then wouldn't the converse be true? At that point, wouldn't it be all like, oh yeah, the person who made this video, since this advertisement is running on it, it means that they actually endorse this product? Like, what if I was to go ahead and lose my fucking mind and monetize my videos for the grand total of 5 minutes that my video would be monetized for? And all of a sudden some, feminine product came on. I'm not endorsing a feminine product. Why is there a feminine product being advertised on my fucking video? I don't endorse Tampax. For more than one reason. But the primary reason is I'm a dude. I don't use Tampax. So how am I going to fucking endorse it? But that's just how I look at it. If anything about their little fucking narrative was true, you wouldn't see this being treated this way. You would be seeing it treated in a completely different way. You would see not only companies being able to advertise on a video and choose which videos that they're going to advertise on or what channels they're going to be advertised on, but you would also see the converse happening. Or are we going to sit there and just accept that the actual content creators mean jack shit fuck all to any of the companies involved, including YouTube? Because I can believe that. Hey, Trans, how's it going? But I can definitely believe that Google has absolutely no bearing on the value of the people making content for it. I can fully believe that, especially with how they've been treating YouTubers lately. I am just so glad that I didn't start up a channel early on and then sit there and make a career out of it, because right now I'd be pissed off as fuck. But also at the same time, if I had done so, I might have had quite a bit of a following, and then I could have sat there and done a Patreon thing and made more money off of Patreon than I could have possibly made off of my fucking videos with AdSense. But at the same time, that really fucking sucks, because then that shit's kind of irregular, even more so than AdSense. And anyone who doesn't know what AdSense is like, basically what it is imagine having a job where 1 week you're paid weekly, where 1 week you're paid you work 5 hours, and then the next week you only work then the next week you work 30 hours, but then the next week you only work 15, and it's just completely random how many hours you get. That's basically kind of like what stuff like AdSense is at that point. It's very unstable. That's the reason why you're seeing a lot of these channels going ahead and starting up Patreons, so that way they can have at least a certain amount of cash flow that they know is going to be there. And AdSense is just kind of like a little bonus after the fact, because they also don't know when their videos are going to get demonetized. So like, oh, you had way too much of your background was white. That means you're trying to whitewash it. That means you're a fucking racist. So we're going to block AdSense now. That's basically a fear that people are having, because it's getting absolutely ridiculous with the type of shit that can go ahead and get people's videos taken down or put into YouTube timeout. But the thing is it's the larger channels that really have to worry about that shit. Smaller channels like mine, not so much, because people really don't like. There's not going to be enough people giving a fuck enough to go ahead and report any of my content, no matter how vitriolic I could possibly get. People just aren't going to notice it. Not enough to make a splash anyway. But larger channels like PewDiePie and all that, now those motherfuckers, people got them under a fucking microscope. Oh, trans, they're honestly, I really don't think that there's really any love left in this world. Like, let's be completely honest, trans. Everyone's out for number one. That's it. They're in it for themselves at this point because everything's just kind of going to hell in a handbasket. And whenever that happens, people just start doing shit that's right by them. So I can't really blame people. I really can't. Because right now, trusting a whole lot of other people is actually kind of detrimental to a lot of people. Let's be completely honest. It's a real risk factor that's there. But that's for a whole nother thing. Danish has a little bit of a point there. He says love has been commercialized and sold off in small boxes. Yeah, no, I can't really argue against that. And everyone's all like, "Oh, well, gee, thanks, Valentine's Day." And it's all like, no, it's not just Valentine's Day. I mean, also take a look at marriage. They're saying that if you don't buy a diamond ring for a woman, you don't actually really love her and you don't actually want to marry her. They've got that bullshit going on, and they've had that bullshit going on for a long fucking time. But because the thing is women aren't interested in whether or not poor white men are taken care of in any propensity. They don't give a fuck about that. They only give a fuck about you if you got a massive fucking cock, a massive fucking wallet, a hyper expensive car, a big fucking house, that sort of shit. They're into you either for what you have or for what you can do for them. What resources and everything can they extract from you? That's basically where their love comes from. It's not the love of you, it's the love of what you can do for them. There's a reason why whenever someone falls out of love anymore and someone asks why, you'll you'll commonly hear the person say, well, they're just not doing it for me anymore. What are they not doing for you anymore? What are they no longer giving you? Are they no longer giving you that feel good tingly feeling? Well, what gave you the feel good tingly feeling in the first place? Just out of curiosity, like what initially got you interested? That's the big question, and a lot of people can't answer that. That's the big thing. That's the big question that no one wants to fucking answer, because a lot of people don't even really know themselves. I mean, you'll get some generic answers like, oh, well, they used to be so much more passionate. All right. Well, did you maybe think that maybe there was something about you that sparked that passion? And if that passion went away, then maybe whatever you were doing stopped being done. That's what I always bring to people. And then they sit there and they try to tell me I'm victim blaming. It's all like, you're not a victim of anything. You are absolutely not a victim of anything if someone falls out of love with you. There's nothing saying that a person has to love you forever. There's nothing saying that a person has to always like you. There is nothing there stating that. So the thing is you have to ask yourself, in that scenario, is there something that's changed about you? And the thing is that's not just on a person-to-person level. That can be on just a societal level as well. But the thing is trans asks, how can I get sex from females for free? It's called go to the bar. It's not necessarily free, but it's more free than sitting there and signing up to lose half your shit as soon as they're done with you. Or maybe go to something like Craigslist or Tinder or something like that. I mean, that's all I can fucking say there. But just remember, anytime you're going through something, like anytime you try to get anything for free, you're going to have to wade through a whole lot of shit. Doesn't matter what you're trying to get for free. Hey, Red River, welcome to the stream. Chaz says hood rats. Wow. Well, Chaz was straight up honest there. Son of a bitch. Well, Chaz, you know, I agree with that rule. I don't stick your dick in crazy. I really do agree with you on that, because damn. Just like a woman shouldn't accept dick from psycho. But that's its own fucking bullshit. But as far as the whole blame game thing, trying to stay relatively on topic here, what I'm trying to fucking say is, when we sit here and we try to blame Felix for the current situation that YouTube's in, and anytime he screws up in some way, all of a sudden people are all like, oh, well, you know, something needs to be done about him. Well, what about when you screw up? Does something instantly need to be done about you? Like, what if what you do is considered screwing up? And the thing is Felix even went ahead and apologized. That's a lot more than you get from a lot of these places that don't even have these fucking worries. Nah, you see, the thing is, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to lower myself to that level, Trans. Trans says, then you must change yourself to start blaming all women like they do all men. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't subscribe to blaming an entire group for the actions of even a majority of said group. But the thing is like, if there's like an ideology, that's a different thing, because then all these people are joined by the same beliefs. So yeah, I mean, you got that going on. Have a good one, Red River. But the thing is when I see people trying to blame all women, I actually look around, and I've actually seen a few women that actually realize that they're dangerous for men. I've seen some women actually legitimately realize that, and so they kind of back the fuck off. And I've actually seen some women that are out there actually competing in their jobs that they're doing and all that sort of thing. So that's awesome. Well, Trance, I mean that's up to you. You can go ahead, you can say and do whatever you want there. But me, it's just not for me. I go for people on an individual level. Now, if they're sitting there and allowing them to fall into groupthink, that's a completely different story. You know, shit like the black bloc and all that. No, at that point, yeah, no, the entire group is to fucking blame. But when it comes to women, it depends on the actions that they've taken. Like if there's a woman out there that isn't that hasn't sat there and taken a guy to the cleaners, hasn't been a gold digger or something like that, or whatever, then I'm not going to sit there and say that she's guilty of it because a lot of other women are. I'm not going to do that. I give at least some benefit of the doubt to the individual until they prove me fucking wrong on that. But that's just my way of approaching the situation, because the thing is I don't like it whenever someone sits there and says because I'm white I'm automatically racist. I don't like that. Or if they sit there and say that because I'm a man that automatically makes me a rapist. I don't like that either. So why am I going to inflict that on other people? I believe in leading by example. And so I follow my own tenets. The stuff that I fucking say on here, I follow it myself. Will I every once in a while lose my shit and fucking just completely go batshit crazy? Yeah, of course. Point me to one person on this planet that hasn't lost their shit at some point in their life. Point me to one person. But the thing is, if the person's sitting there and saying, well, okay, the thing is with the whole if women keep doing the shit, nothing will change. That's bullshit in and of itself. Um, sex bots, those are right around the fucking corner. In fact, they're already being sold. They're already being rented, according to people like Danish. So yeah, that shit's changing, and then women are going to have to change how they act, how they interact with men. If they're not willing to change, then a forced change through a forced change of circumstance. Whatever. Skeptical. I'm not in this for a popularity contest. I'm actually interested in people, coming in, joining in the discussion, bringing in their points of view, like with Trans here. Like me and him, we disagree on some fucking things, but the fact of the matter is we're at least being respectful to each other. And that's all I can ever ask of people. Just be respectful of each other. Try to see the other person's point of view. And I see his point of view on this. I'm just saying it's not how I live my life. Trance, that is a complete and total lie right there. I'm just gonna have to call you out on that, man. Like in all honesty, because the thing is as far as sex bots not being as good, the technology hasn't even been looked into, and there's such a thing as a dead fish woman, and a lot of women are kind of getting that way, where they think that just them being there for sex makes sex good. No, it doesn't. I have better sex with my hand than I've had with most women I've been with. I get more satisfaction from it. But the thing is as the technology progresses, it'll get better and better and better, and there will be just that much more competition for women, which I think is a good thing. Skeptical, I will mouth off, quote unquote, to anyone who's pulling fucking bullshit. People know this about my channel. If I think that what you're doing is wrong, I'm going to sit there and say, dude, that ain't fucking cool. But I'm not going to sit there and dog on people specifically for their beliefs either. At the same time, you know, people have their reasons for having whatever beliefs they're going to fucking have. Whatever. That's not my place. But when you're sitting there and actively going after someone else, I'm going to call you out. Well, and that's true. The thing is, if a woman's willing to put in the effort for sex, I mean, yeah, the sex can be fucking amazing, trans. But the thing is the woman has to be willing to put in the fucking effort. And right now, they really don't have a reason to. Because they kind of have a monopoly on it. I'm saying breaking that monopoly is a good thing. Because then it'll force women to adapt to the market. Because right now, there's no market for them to adapt to. That's the whole thing there. And I mean, and the thing is as far as the whole companionship aspect of it, when it comes down to companionship, I've always said, I've always said this before, and I'll always say this afterward. As far as companionship is concerned, you can get companionship from anyone. As long as they're willing to be a companion to you. Companionship does not always have to involve sex. A friend gives you companionship. Hell, a dog can give you companionship. Or if you want to go to the utmost extreme, a fucking volleyball with a bloody face painted on it can give you companionship. Women don't have the market cornered on companionship. The market that they have us cornered on is sex. So once there's other options there, then all of a sudden they won't have the monopoly. Dana says, you want a companion, go buy a fish. You don't have to walk it, and when you're tired of it, you can just eat the fucker. Oh, that's awesome, Danish. Oh, fuck yes. But yeah, it's just one of those situations of when you go ahead and you actually just look at the situation. Like, I see guys trying to blame women for everything, and I see women trying to blame guys for everything, and it's all like, we've all fucked up in some way. Different ways, yes, but we've all fucked up. None of us are fucking perfect. But when it comes down to shit like YouTube, I think it's bullshit that we can't go ahead and sit there and go, oh, well, maybe there's another problem that's external and not necessarily an internal thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, there are some YouTubers that, yeah, are actively out there to cause fucking problems. That's their right. They can go ahead and do it. Whatever. But the thing is the ones that are actively out there to cause problems aren't the ones getting hit by this. It's the ones that just basically brush with the rules. The ones that are typically pretty decent, but then they screw up once. And then all of a sudden, everyone wants to point the finger at them. When you've got YouTube channels that are sitting there and trying to say, oh yeah, pedophilia is perfectly fucking fine. They're not getting fucking hit. Or sitting there and saying, oh yeah, it's okay to sit there and kill off white people. That's perfectly fucking fine. But if someone sits there and brings up statistics about interracial crime, all of a sudden they get fucking demonetized. You know, that's what I'm fucking talking about. That's the type of shit that really gets my goat, is the fact that we're sitting here and trying to blame individuals for a societal problem. For a problem that's coming from completely different fucking places. For an ideology that's fucking taking over that really has no business taking over anything. It has no business taking over a fucking wet paper bag. Hey, Bullet, how's it going? And trans, again, that's a blatant fucking lie. Here I am. I'm a white man. I give a fuck about white men. And white women only give a fuck, just like with any other woman, they only give a fuck about men that can do something for them. So they won't give a fuck about white men until they get up there in age and they're ready to quote unquote settle down, and then they're going to be all over the white guy that's got his fucking career in line, all his shit lined up. You know, amassed a bunch of fucking wealth and a bunch of resources. But the problem is those guys, if they were smart about it, would sit there and realize, hey, I got to this point because I didn't lock myself down early on. And if I lock myself down, I'm going to lose everything and have to start from fucking scratch. If they realize that and don't play the fucking game, then guess what? It's fucking awesome. Because that guy who's built up all those resources and everything like that, if he really needs the quote unquote companionship of a woman, he can go out and fucking rent himself a prosty. Get her on fucking retainer. There you go. Yeah, and MA, you got it. I think you nailed it right there. Everything changes. Impermanence is supreme. Even the nature of change is subject to change. Very, very, very true. I tip my hat to you, good sir. But the thing is at this point, I say we stop sitting there and judging people by the color of their skin or by their genitalia or where they want to stick their genitalia, all that sort of thing. I say we just go ahead and stop doing that. Judge a person based off of what they do. What are they doing in their fucking life? Is it respectable? If so, then yes, they're deserving of the respect. If the answer is no, then they are not deserving of the respect. Well, trans, the thing is at that point, all you're doing is buying a service. That's all it fucking is. It's the same as buying an internet connection or going in to get a fucking massage or something along those lines. Doesn't fucking matter. You're paying for a fucking service. If you don't see value in it, don't go and buy it. But there are some guys that see the value in it. And so then they're going to go ahead and they're going to choose to spend their money in that way. And the thing is sex is very much so and very quickly becoming a buyer's market. And that's fair enough, Danish. The thing is, if you can go ahead and find yourself a fuck buddy, go for it. Just be safe about it, honestly. I mean, be careful. Always have to put that little note in there. But I don't see a problem with someone having a fuck buddy. If the one thing you're missing in life is sex, do it. Well, the thing is, if I was to go out for a minimum wage job, but sit there and go out and buy a fucking service that I found value for once a month or something like that, then it's because I saw the value in it. I'm the one placing the value there. If it's overpriced, I'm not going to go for it. If you think that it's overpriced, then don't go for it. It's that simple. And trans, that's not a problem as far as the service itself. It's the pricing model along with the service. But the thing is that pricing isn't the same across the board. Well, then go for it, dude. If that's your choice, then go for it. I ain't gonna fucking argue with you on it. I'm not able to assign value to anything. I'm able to assign my perceived value to something, and if someone's overcharging for it, then I ain't going for it. I ain't gonna spend my money on it. And that's with any service. But I mean, I'm at this point now with this whole mentality of, oh well, I don't think that this has any value, therefore no one else should think that it has value. That's not how markets work. And the thing is just like with any currency, the value that we assign is relatively arbitrary. It might be agreed upon by large swaths of the population. And trans, that no, don't try to use that fucking shaming language to try to get people to capitulate to you. Don't do that. Don't do that, man. See, that ain't how it fucking works. The thing is if someone wants to go ahead and go out and buy some fucking pussy, then they can go out and buy some fucking pussy. If they see the value in it, it's their money. They can spend it how they want. If you don't like it, you can go ahead and boycott it, but that doesn't mean that other people have to join you in it. And it doesn't mean that they're worshiping it or anything like that. It just means that they're seeing the value in it. And at this point, it's a pleasure value. The problem that I have is with guys that sit there and pay for it, don't get it, and then continue paying for it anyway. That's where I'm like, dude, you're a fucking moron and you are fucking up the economy there. So, I mean, figure it this way. If you had yourself an internet connection and you're supposed to pay, let's say, $60 a month for the internet connection, but you only get an actual fucking connection every 2 or 3 months, and you keep paying it, then you're a fucking moron. I don't got a problem with paying for on demand, because at that point I pay for the expedience, and of course at that point it's going to be a little more expensive. Yeah, women give a lot of money back into the system, but the only reason why women are giving money into the system is because men are initially giving money to women, and at a really fucked up exchange rate. Well, trance, the thing is everyone's got different libidos, and everyone has different ways of letting the shit out. Like me, I jerk off. That's how I fucking avoid it now. But there are some guys that are just addicted to it. I've already covered that in a previous stream. Hey, Holy, how's it going? But I've already covered it in a previous stream. Women are the same as an addictive drug for guys. There's withdrawal symptoms, aka blue balls. Fucking sucks. But the thing is if a guy is willing to pay for a service, if someone's willing to pay for a service, you personally don't see a value in the service because it doesn't serve your needs. It doesn't mean that that person's necessarily wrong, and it doesn't mean that you're necessarily wrong. Doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that you both have a different perspective on the situation. That's just how it is. Everyone's fucking different. If you're fine going your entire life without sex, then good for you. But there are some guys out there that actually want sex. And the thing is once you've experienced sex, it's a very difficult habit to kick. It's kind of like crack. Once you experience the crack, it's hard to go back. And that's your thing. And the fact that you haven't had sex definitely helps you out there. A guy who has had sex, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them. And I agree with you, MA. All tax-paying MGTOWs still feed the system that they condemn. Yes, that is very fucking true. But the thing is if they don't pay the fucking taxes, they go to fucking prison. And so then they can't do well for themselves at all at that point. And it's very difficult to find places where you can fully live off of the grid and not get fucking hassled at some point. In fact, I don't think that I can't think of a place other than like, you know, in deep, dark Amazonian jungles where you could go and not do that. But one way of paying in as little as possible is not trying to earn a fucking vast amount of wealth all at once. Or find a way to do business off the fucking books. That's another fucking way of doing it. Well, the thing is at that point, MA says taxes under the splendor of a so-called quote-unquote free open market. Well, the thing is They're not saying that the market itself is free. They're saying that it's free as in people are free to take their business wherever they fucking want. And the open market means that anyone can put their wares onto said market. And I'm with you, love. I do hate taxes for the same reason, because 80% of it goes to fucking welfare. It goes to these people that are sitting there and cranking out kids while they're fucking unemployed and expecting everyone else to pick up the fucking tab for them having the fun. But it's just getting to the point now where it's, when you look at where tax money goes, it's pretty fucking ridiculous. It's not going back to the people who are paying into the taxes by way of, you know, services and so on and so forth that the government is supposed to provide. It's going into a fucking welfare fund. Well, MA, the thing is as far as better use of taxes, if you got it down between welfare and war, depends. What's the war about? Is the war about gaining more resources for your country? Because if so, then fine. You know, because at that point, you know, it's eventually going to get paid back to the people at some point in some way. Well, no shit, trans taxes go on war to weaponize the military. If you don't have a weaponized military, then you have an impotent military. Yeah, we're in the U.S. Yeah, there's quite a bit of taxes that go into the military, but if you actually look at the percentage of taxes that go into the military versus the taxes that go into the welfare state, you see a big discrepancy there. You see a lot more going into welfare than you do into our military, and that, in my opinion, is very much so an issue. Well, like, how are you going to sit there and guarantee welfare to anyone if you can't fucking protect them? And that's what the government is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect the people. That's its primary fucking job. Well, right now, I wouldn't blame the U.S. for going to war with Germany, because Germany's fucking over all fucking Europe. Need at least one fucking Black Ops team in there. Take that as you will. But that's just my opinion. But I absolutely hate how they'll sit there and have like an income tax. So, like, really, you're taxing me on making money? Really? Fuck you. How about this? You can only tax shit and goods and services that I fucking purchase. How about that shit? Don't tax me out of money that's coming straight out of my fucking paycheck. How about that fucking noise? Because then, guess what? It would be primarily women paying taxes. Unfortunately, at that point, they'd be getting the money from their husbands. So it'd still be men paying the fucking taxes for the most part. That's just how I fucking look at it. You know, it's all like, I look at where the actual fucking money comes from. It's kind of like when I'm playing a fucking video game that has a crafting mechanic. I'm all like, look, all right, if I sell the final fucking product, how much money am I going to make off of it? Okay. Now, how much would I get for selling all the individual bits and pieces? If I'm going to make more from the individual bits and pieces, I'm going to sell the individual bits and pieces as opposed to the finished product. And that usually ends up being the fucking case. Don't even get me started on Australia. Don't even get me started on that fucking bullshit that's going on down there. Although one thing I do have to admit about Australia, they do have quite a few news outlets there that are willing to call out the fucking leftist bullshit. Call out the hypocrisy, so, yeah. You can't really say France is peaceful anymore. They've imported a lot of fucking violence. Especially lately. What I really think needs to be done as far as the whole Germany thing, people just need to look at Merkel and tell her to sit down, shut the fuck up, and make a sandwich. That's my fucking view of it. Honestly, and I can't sit there and say that it's just because they have a woman leader, because, I mean, Poland has a female leader, and they're actually, and that country has more balls than just about any other European country. Hey, you guys want to vote me in as European dictator? I'll do it. I ain't learning the languages, though. Oh, damn, Danish, that fucking sucks. I've worked a job like that. That sucks. Danish says he's a doorman at a nightclub on Friday nights. I hated working the door at a nightclub. That fucking sucked. Because the thing is, I constantly had women sitting there and thinking that them walking up half fucking naked was gonna somehow convince me to let them in. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, that ain't happening. Back of the fucking line. Oh yeah, they always got fucking pissy about that shit. When I'm sitting there and talking about leftists, I'm talking about modern day fucking leftists, the whinging, whining, special snowflake leftists. Trance. And like I said, I'll sit there and like when I sit there and I look at when I look at a group and their collective ideology, then I'll go ahead and I'll sit there and make a judgment on that. But when it comes down to an individual, just because someone has some leftist tendencies doesn't mean that they agree with all the shit. And so they might actually make some semblances of sense in some areas. And I give them credit on that, and then I knock them down on the other shit. That's how I fucking work. But I mean, that honestly, that's just my way of fucking doing things. Because the thing is I figure it this way: if I sit there and work with people on the stuff that we agree on, but then sit there and go, "Nah, I don't fucking agree with you on this," then they're gonna kind of take a step back and go, "Wait, whoa, I thought you were on my side." It's like, I'm not on your side. It's just there are some things that we agree on. I don't take sides. I go with what makes sense. So if you've got someone that's sitting there and saying, oh yeah, fully open borders is the answer, and then they also sit there and say that taxes need to stop being pumped into fucking welfare, I'm going to disagree with them on the first part, but I'm going to agree with them on the second part. And I'm going to give them props on the second part, and I'm going to tell them they're a goddamn moron on the first part. Positive reinforcement for the stuff that's actually fucking positive, negative reinforcement for the stuff that's actually fucking negative. There you go. I believe in combining those two forms. Churchill had some skeletons in his closet, but the thing is he did some shit right. He did do some shit right. But yeah, but again, point to anyone out there, and I guarantee you they will have one or two skeletons in their closet. There's going to be one or two things that they've done wrong in their life. I've always said this, no one's fucking perfect. And Danish, I really don't care if Winston Churchill was alcoholic. There, you know, I mean, the thing is if he was still fucking functional, I mean, him being on the sauce is his fucking thing. I ain't gonna fucking judge. I mean, hell, I sit here and I smoke like a goddamn chimney. Doesn't make what I'm fucking saying any less valuable. Everyone has their fucking vices. For some guys, their vice is pussy. For some guys, their vice is tobacco. For some guys, their vice is a fucking drug. For some guys, their vice is beating the living shit out of other people. Whatever. Like, someone can be the worst motherfucking pile of shit on the fucking planet and still make a good point. That's how I fucking look at it. Oh, I'm not sitting there. I'm not going to sit there and try to at all in any way say that Hitler was right. I am in no way going to fucking try to go on that. I can usually argue just about anything. That one, no. As far as Hitler's concerned, no. That was just a whole lot of fucked up all in one tiny little package. But I mean, the thing is I mean, if someone's going to sit there and bring up Adolf Hitler, I mean, Adolf Hitler hated a whole fucking large chunk of his fucking people. Take a look at what's going on right now. You got Merkel in there. She fucking hates Germans. Her entire cabinet sits there and is celebrating that in a little while there will be no German majority communities in Germany. They're actually fucking celebrating that shit. They're saying that that's a positive thing. So in that way, Merkel and her cabinet are very similar to Hitler. And I'm not going to back off on saying that. But the fact of the matter is when you actually look at these situations as they're unfolding, yeah, it doesn't hurt to look back at the past and sit there and go, we've seen this before. We need to fucking head this shit off. Germany didn't head this shit off. They went along with it just like they went along with it in the past. I figure if Germany wants to fucking go ahead and destroy itself, it's going to fucking destroy itself one way or another. If they hate themselves that damn much, then they're going to fucking destroy themselves. Oh, and trans, I'm not sitting there and saying that there isn't rights discrepancies over in Europe. I mean, that's all over the fucking place. But I mean, we've also got that here in the U.S. Perfect example. It's perfectly acceptable for someone who's black to sit there and throw out racial slurs against a white person right in front of a fucking cop. They can't be arrested for that shit. The best that the cop can arrest them for is disturbing the peace, which has a slap on the wrist punishment. But if a white person throws out a racial slur against anyone, they're arrested. I mean, that's just one example. But you see that all over the fucking place. And I love to bring that shit up and sit there and go, and you still sit there and say that white people are in charge and being fucking. Oh, have a good one, Danish. But that they're in charge and that they're somehow against you and that sort of thing. So, like, how in the fuck are white people in charge when the deck is stacked so hard against them? When we're only a few years off of it being illegal to be white, and yet we still hold all these fucking positions of power. How in the fuck at that point are you going to sit there and say, oh, my race is better than the white race? No. And I'm not even a white nationalist. But the thing is, it feels like at this point, like they're trying to prove white nationalists right. It feels like that's the end goal of these people. It's kind of fucking funny to me. What's a little histrionic? MA? Oh yeah, division is definitely the end goal. I mean, we see this. I mean, right? I mean, hell, with that thing that I was talking about either yesterday or the day before, um, it was they were sitting there and trying to say that straight black men are the white people of black people. I still have to go ahead and try to find that article so I can go ahead and link it for you guys. It's not histrionic. It's me sitting there and exaggerating the situation. But I mean, hell, they're sitting there and trying to make it perfectly fucking fine to not hire someone because they're fucking white. But if you're any other race, you have to be hired on the spot. Same thing with being conservative. If you're conservative, certain places they're trying to make it okay to discriminate based on ideology or political view. Yeah, I'm talking about that one, MA. Yeah. No, I think we're thinking about the same one there. But yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous at this point. And I actually agree with you there, Trans. The left and the right wing are against white people, just in different ways. The right wants to put it out there where people can sit there and point at them and go, oh, well, you see, this is how white people act. And then the left is against white people because they're all like, oh, well, historically, you've been in power. It's all like, yeah, we've been in power in white countries. No shit. I mean, that's just how it fucking works out, you know. I mean, they're gonna sit there and if they get their way, it's gonna go ahead and go the reverse of what history was, where whites are basically gonna be completely underpowered and completely fucked, and then eventually the shit's gonna all flip the fuck around, and we're gonna see a repeat of it again. I mean, this is just turning into an endless cycle. The only way to get rid of the fucking cycle is to sit there and say, look, it doesn't matter what you are, it matters what you do. That's the only way to fucking get away from this shit, is to completely take out identity politics. What you are should have no bearing on how you are treated. That's my fucking view of it. And I think it's a pretty fair view. No, I don't sit there and identify as white from whiteness. I identify as white because of my fucking skin color. Just watch any videos where you actually fucking see me. I'm fucking white. All it is me not having as much melatonin as a black person. That's the only thing there. And maybe a couple other genetic differences. I'm more predisposed to certain diseases. Black people are more predisposed to certain diseases. Asiatic people are prone to different diseases. But the difference between, white and black is melatonin. That's it. That's the primary difference. That's the visual difference signifier. Fair enough. MA says powder from that movie. That nigga was white. Yeah, no, that motherfucker was white. Yeah, but I don't think you have to be albino to be considered white. In all honesty, let's be fucking honest. That's kind of fucking ridiculous. But I mean, the thing is, I'm half fucking Italian. But Italian is considered fucking white too. And so it's all like, whatever. It's just them basically saying people that are lighter skinned than brown. MA says Pale Wop Ryu. That's your new street name. Fucking A. I'll take that. I'll fucking take that because the thing is when I was younger, I actually spent a lot of time outside. I know that that's hard to believe, but I actually spent a lot of time outside. I would go to the lake, I would go fishing, I would go swimming, so on and so forth. So I was actually pretty fucking tan. and I was actually working at a Jack in the Box, and I went on my fucking break, and we actually had a legit racist manager that came in to substitute for our store manager because our store manager was off doing some fucking training. And she came out there and started yelling at me to go in. Well, the thing is, I couldn't go in because you have to actually clock out. And if you get caught on the cameras working while on your break, you could actually get fired from it. So I couldn't go in. I had already clocked out. I had had someone cover my spot, all that sort of thing. We didn't have a major boom of business or anything like that. But she sat there and was yelling and screaming at me with the door open so everyone inside could fucking hear what was going on. And she just yells at me and says, "Get your lazy ass back in there, you stupid fucking beaner." Oh, hell no. So I started fucking yelling back at her. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are talking to me like that? Fuck you, you stupid cunt. If you're gonna throw a fucking racial slur at me, I'm a fucking wop. Get it right. And then I walked the fuck out. The only job I've ever had where I actually walked out on a shift. If she had called me a wop, I would have been fine. I hate being called a beaner. I absolutely fucking hate it. Just because it's wrong. So, like, if you're gonna fucking throw out a racial slur, at least be sure you're being right about it. Jesus Christ. I'm just so sick and tired of everyone being so obsessed with race and all that and being so sensitive about it. Like, in all honesty, like with me, it just pissed me off the fact that she was fucking calling me lazy when I was the hardest fucking worker there. And this woman hadn't even been there. Like she was literally just there for one day. She was there for less than a fucking day. And she tried to sit there and say that I was fucking lazy. I'm all like, I'm the one who comes in on every extra shift that you guys need fucking covered. I've managed to cover the entire kitchen area doing the job of 4 or 5 people all at the same fucking time and keeping us under our serving times that were needed by corporate, that were mandated by corporate. And you're calling me fucking lazy? Are you fucking kidding me? When your ass has been sitting back in the office doing jack shit, fuck all nothing, while we had gotten our asses slammed 3 times that fucking day with massive freak rushes, including one tourist bus line, and you're calling me fucking lazy? Fuck you. All right, man. See you in a few minutes, MA. But it pisses me the fuck off. It's all like, and the thing is I honestly think she was fucking saying that because she honestly thought I was Mexican and she just had an axe to grind with Mexicans. I'm all like, why the fuck do you have an axe to grind with Mexicans? Like me, I don't have an axe to grind with any particular race. The only people I have an axe to grind is illegal immigrants that are here on welfare. Hell, even illegal immigrants that are here working and trying to get their fucking citizenship and all that sort of thing, I can at least respect them on it. Oh, yeah, no, Bullet, she got fired very fucking quickly. I actually got a phone call from the store manager a couple of days afterward and said that she had gotten fired for it. He had heard what happened and he apologized and all that sort of shit. Thing is, I went in a couple of weeks later to go ahead and eat with my family. Big fucking mistake. But anywho, went in to go ahead and get some food with my family. And the store manager saw me and he asked me if I was ever coming back to work. They still had me on the books. I had 2 weeks straight of missed shifts, no called, no shows, and they still had me on the fucking books. So yeah, I was really fucking lazy, wasn't I? They're not going to do that for someone who's lazy. But it's just one of those situations of, honestly, I don't believe in judging someone based off of what they are. I mean, if you're going to sit there and say, look, this person takes part in this ideology and this ideology has these issues, fine. I get that. I understand it. Recognizing a culture that someone comes from, again, very fucking valid. It's all like, look, here's the incompatibilities between the local culture and the culture that this person's coming from. Keep an eye on this shit. Again, fair enough. But just because someone has slightly lighter or slightly darker skin, that has no bearing on what they're going to fucking do in their life. Hell, I can actually kind of make that same argument for as far as a person's plumbing is concerned. I believe that people should be judged off of their actions. I hate this superficial bullshit. But we just keep perpetuating it and perpetuating it and perpetuating it. And it's just gotten so ridiculous now. But it is what it is. And I don't think we're ever going to get racism eliminated. You can sit there, you can make racism illegal, but racist people are going to be fucking racist. Sexist people are going to be fucking sexist. Bigots are going to be bigots. You're not going to change their way of thinking through legislation. The only way that you could even possibly start to whittle away at that is by sitting there and saying, what you are doesn't matter. We're going to treat you the exact same fucking way. You don't get any special treatment. You don't get any special considerations. Doesn't matter if there's 1 million of you or if there's 1 of you. It's fair enough, dude. Fair enough. And the thing is, I haven't been censored because my channel's not big enough. I know this, Pans. But welcome to the stream, man. Glad to have you here. Always glad to have more people. Some people say it's racist to talk about differences between race, but the thing is I actually have a medical history. So the thing is I look at it more from like as far as differences between race, I look at it as more of genetic differences for the purpose of preventing illness or curing illness that afflicts certain races more than others. The primary example that people use is sickle cell with the Black community. People who have African descent have a higher chance of sickle cell. So it's something that you have to take into consideration in the medical field. But yes, some people will sit there and consider that to be racist, to even acknowledge those situations, even if you're doing it for the sheer intent of actually helping people. That's funny, Holy Blade. Holy Blade says, I got told by some chick in a comment section that I can't be a misogynist because I'm not an ugly creep. Wow, the gynocentrism behind that shit. Jesus Christ. Gynocentrism and fucking hypergamy right there. Fucking A. There is a biological difference between male and female, and that's seen in the plumbing. Bullet Machine says, I don't consider it racist that black people can run faster than me. That's funny. You know, the funny thing is in high school, I actually was able to keep up with the black kids as far as running speed was concerned, just not distance. Because I've never been much of a long distance runner. But, and yes, that was even before I started smoking cigarettes. I've just never been good at long distance running. Like, you can get a mile out of me, and that's about it. After that, my muscles sit there and say, yeah, fuck this. I'm going on strike. And I agree with you, Pans. You have to you have to decide whether you're going to save lives or hurt feelings. And that's just a fucking fact of it. And it's not even down to race or gender at that point. Even as far as weight is concerned, you know, they're sitting there and saying that doctors saying that fat people have a higher chance of health problems, diabetes, all that sort of thing, and are just generally not as healthy. You know, just as far as systematically speaking, you know, they're trying to sit there and say that that's fat shaming. It's all like, doctors aren't saying you have to sit there and starve yourself to be a twig. They're not saying that. They're just saying, hey, put down the fork every once in a while and pick up a stick of celery and go for a fucking run. That's all you got to fucking do. I mean, hell, I'm overweight. Like, let's be fucking honest. I'm overweight. But the thing is the reason why I'm not an amorphous blob is because I go out and I walk. That's all it takes is walking. You don't even have to go out and fucking run. All you have to do is be somewhat active. Don't live a completely sedentary life. How fucking hard is that to grasp? I mean, yeah, there are going to be some people with thyroid problems and that sort of thing, and it's really hard for them to lose weight, and I sympathize. Well, I have to say I empathize because I don't have a thyroid problem, but I empathize with them. That sucks. But there's medications to help out with that. There's special eating regimens that you can do. There's ways of getting around that shit. But if you're not willing to put in the effort, don't sit there and say that other people have to back you on it. They don't. If you let yourself turn into an amorphous blob, then guess what? People are going to point at you and say, look at that amorphous blob. If it bugs you so much, change it. Don't try to change what their perception of you is. Change you. If you are that bothered by it. But the fact of the matter is if you're one of those people that just naturally has a gut, like me, even when I was in football, and I was running, constantly exerting myself, constantly lifting weights, eating healthy, all of that sort of shit, I still had a fucking gut. I mean, yeah, I was a lineman, so it kind of stood to reason. But the thing is Even at that point, I still had a little bit of a fucking gut. Having a little bit of a gut isn't a problem. The problem is when you look down and you can't see your fucking toes. That's when you got yourself a fucking problem. Or if you haven't seen your dick in so fucking long that it could be considered legally dead. That is when you got yourself a fucking problem. But if you're taking care of yourself and all that, you're not going to have the high blood pressure. You're not going to have you're not going to have plaque buildup in your fucking veins from eating unhealthy foods and all that shit. You're not going to get winded from going up a single fucking flight of stairs. Your muscles are going to be able to bear your own weight. You're not going to sit there and have bone wasting. You're not going to have any of that fucking shit as long as you fucking take care of yourself. So yeah, you may not be a fucking runway model, but at the same time, you still can be fucking healthy. But if you're fucking healthy, you're not going to be an amorphous blob. And I know, I understand that it's kind of hard at some points. If you got yourself a fucking chaotic life, it's really hard to set aside time to go ahead and do that. But there are things that you can do throughout the fucking day to go ahead and make sure that you get at least some little bit of a workout. Like when I was working at fucking Best Buy, I wore ankle weights. Just to increase that exertion, just that extra little bit. So I was actually getting fucking a workout just while I was working. No one noticed the ankle weights. No one fucking cared about them. I was working on making myself healthier, or should I say keeping myself healthier, even with my fucking chaotic schedule. Little fucking things like that are going to make all of the difference in the world. But the thing is, the farther you let yourself go, the harder it is to come back. So don't let yourself go in the first place. Go out there. Get yourself some exercise. Don't sit there and blame other people for your problems. Don't point the finger at them and say, well, they're perceiving me wrong. They don't know what I'm going through. They shouldn't have to know what you're going through. Period. End of story. Why in the fuck should they care? All they're seeing in front of them is an amorphous blob. So, of course, their perception of you is going to be you're lazy, you overeat, you live a sedentary lifestyle. And then if you're one of those people that doesn't regularly take a shower, and so you give off the feta cheese smell, well, guess what? You're not helping your case any. But the fact of the matter is all you have to do is put in the effort. And that's in any aspect of your life. There's a mental way of doing it. It's called word of the fucking day. If you're unfamiliar with what a word of the day is, you can go ahead, pick a random word out of the fucking dictionary and use that word throughout the fucking day. And your brain will remember it. It's you flexing your mental muscle. Go ahead, wear some ankle weights. They're not all that expensive. Dedicate yourself to eating healthier. You can start out at 1 meal a day of eating healthier and then work your way up from there. You don't have to do everything all at once. Everyone wants this instant gratification nowadays. That's one way that the internet has fucking damaged us. because we get instant gratification in a lot of our fucking shit. People have gotten so used to having machines and devices doing pretty much everything for them that they've gotten into this mentality of they don't have to actually put in the work. I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. You have to put in the work. I hate it whenever someone sits there and says, well, Google it. No, motherfucker, if you're telling me about something, inform me about it. If you're bringing it up, obviously you know something about it. Let me know what you know about it. Don't make me go ahead and look it up afterwards, have to remember the conversation that we had so I can then go ahead and apply context to it afterward. Fuck that noise. And if anyone wants to say that me sitting there and saying this stuff isn't MGTOW content, you need to reassess what you are thinking about MGTOW. What do you think MGTOW is actually about? MGTOW is about men going their own way, bettering themselves. Physically, mentally, emotionally, economically, politically. It's very much so about you becoming everything that you can be. And you stopping listening to people that are telling you that you can't be something. That's what MGTOW is about. And yes, other MGTOWs will support other MGTOWs typically. But we're more here as an information exchange. Yeah, you're going to find your friends that are going to sit there and be your little cheerleading squad. But the fact of the matter is that's what MGTOW is supposed to be about. Is you finding your own place. There's a lot of misconceptions about MGTOW. People think that MGTOWs just hate on women. No, not necessarily. Is there some rage towards women? Yeah. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of MGTOWs have a lot of rage towards women. But it's because they sit there and they see what women get away with. But in that way, MGTOW is more akin to MRAs than anything else. MRAs get just as pissed off about it. What sets MGTOWs aside from MRAs is us sitting there not saying, oh, we want back in the system, but we want the system to change for us. It's us saying, fuck it, we'll go outside of the system. And we'll live better than we ever could have inside of it. We're not going to play by the system's rules anymore. We're done bending a knee. We're done holding ourselves back to make others feel better about themselves. It's about doing a cost-benefit analysis of the decisions that you are making in your life. Is the risk worth the reward? Is there even a reward on the horizon? Or are you just taking a risk to take a risk? Is what you're doing worth doing? How can I better my situation? Those are the types of questions that people who actually practice the fundamentals of MGTOW will ask constantly with every action that they do. And you get faster and faster and faster at analyzing it and coming up with the answer. And MA brings up a good point. MRAs and average women attack MGTOW. That's very true. But again, that's because MRAs and average women don't want men going MGTOW. Feminists don't fucking care. Because they just don't want fucking men around. Period. They dislike everything that men represents. They don't like masculinity in any way, shape, or form. Not until it serves their purposes, anyway. But MRAs don't want men to give up because they still have that traditionalist view, typically. And unfortunately, the traditionalist view has one fundamental tenet in it that is just not compatible with MGTOW. And that is that men must do what they can to make women more comfortable, to protect women. MGTOWs don't agree with that. MGTOWs are sitting there saying, look, you don't want us in any of our other gender roles. We're not going to take up the negative gender roles without the positive ones. Pretty simple concept, really. And I don't think that it's completely unfair. Who in their right mind would sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to take on all this responsibility, but I am going to get nothing out of it? And MA, I can understand where some of the newer MGTOWs have the "we must defeat feminism" thing, because feminism is a direct threat to men at this point. It's actively causing damage to men right now. And that's more of the MRA portion of the new MGTOWs. That's the MRA part coming out. The reason why is because we don't like to see other men getting trampled underfoot for no fucking reason. But again, there are certain aspects that set MGTOW apart, and a lot of people are ignoring that, including some of the newer MGTOWs. And so when you ignore those aspects, and people become pretty misguided. They become confused. Let's see. MA says, Professor Peterson makes a compelling case to young, edgy kids who their liberal counterparts are insane. The left and right paradigm will continue, and most men won't think outside the box and live for themselves. Yes, that's very true. And that's the reason why Like, I'll sit there and I'll dog on the left quite often, but I also dog on the right when the right really fucking screws up. But the thing is, the left just gives me so much material to use, to just hand me ammunition. They're like the world's dumbest arms dealer. It's all like they're just giving the ammunition away for free. And they just match it to the caliber of every weapon that I have. Whereas with the right, yeah, there's some times where, yeah, they feed me some fucking ammunition, and I use it. But the thing is the reason why I'm like that is because I'm a centrist. And the thing is the right doesn't typically attack centrists. The left, however, does. There's a very large segment of the left that sits there and says, if you're not with us, then you're against us. That's not necessarily the truth. Like I said, I don't take sides. I just look at what makes sense. That's the reason why some people sit there and say I'm inconsistent. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not inconsistent. I still hold the same views. My views are steadfast. The political world around me is shifting. My position is not. And I agree with you, Holy Blade. Holy Blade says, Big Boss died telling Solid Snake that people should live for themselves. Rip Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid is an awesome game. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly with that. And it's actually poignant. But the thing is at this point, I'm not going to, I'm not going to sit there and side with any one side because, like I said, no one has all the answers. The left has some answers to some legitimate problems, and the right has some answers to some legitimate problems. But the thing is both sides create more problems than they solve. Yeah, and I agree with you there, MA. Left, center, right. If you have a hardline position in one arena, you'll be labeled as something somewhere, and most sacrifice their individuality to meet their need to belong. Me, I don't have much of a need to belong. I've always been one of those people that's been able to exist inside of a group or outside of a group and do so completely fine. But with me, it's just one of those situations at this point where if I go ahead and I say something against a particular group, the reason why I'm saying against a particular group is because I'm seeing a way that the group can improve. I don't want the left to fail. I don't want the right to fail. I don't want the center to disappear or anything along those lines. What I want is for everyone to drop the bullshit and actually get to solving some goddamn issues. Instead of sitting here and bitching and whining and pissing and moaning about fucking air conditioning and whether or not it's fucking sexist. Instead of going out and destroying historical monuments. Instead of beating the shit out of each other out in the streets. And then arguing about who started it. Quite frankly, when I look at society nowadays, it's like sitting there and looking at a fucking kindergarten classroom. It's just a bunch of children running around with their thumbs up their asses, not knowing their ass from a hole in the ground. And then trying to blame everyone else for them being fucking stupid. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with you there, MA. MA says we live in a diagnosis culture where everyone is apt to call out problems. I doubt as a species, or at least as a civilization, we will transition into prognosis culture. Yeah, I agree with you there. But the thing is even having a fucking prognosis, if you don't have a plan of cure, the prognosis means nothing, and you're not going to be able to do a prognosis. So yeah, I think you're very true, because the thing is we're not trying to find an actual solution, because like you said, solving problems doesn't make money. And right now everyone's so fucking concerned with money, so concerned with things, so concerned with what they have and what they can take from other people. It's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. No one's actually interested in bettering society. They're interested in making a quick buck. Well, MA, the thing is, if Western civilization falls, what will that give way to? Eastern civilization. And there's only one Eastern civilization that's really vying in any major way for power right now, and that would definitely be a step backwards. Well, Holy Blade, like I said before, whenever you bring up your mom using your religion to go ahead and shame you and your dad, I'm going to go ahead and say something that will completely counter it. You know the saying of if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, then he'll be fed for his entire life. Well, welfare is giving the man the fish. Putting them through proper learning and trade school is giving them the damn fishing rod and teaching them how to use it. So yes, I believe that anyone who is religious should look at welfare as one of the biggest blights to our civilization as it is. I don't know, Trance. If you're aiming to be the biggest asshole on this planet, you got some pretty strong competition with me. Oh, and I agree with you, MA. Like, if Western civilization was to fall, it will take a lot of the world out with it. And the tribalism chance is very, very high at that point. I think that's the highest likelihood of what would happen if Western civilization was to actually fall. But like you said, it's almost impossible to predict the outcome of a scenario like that because there's so many free variables. Well, Holy Blade, then it sounds like your mom is a part of the problem. And to make matters worse, she is an enabler of said problem. But the fact of the matter is when people sit there and bring up welfare to me and that sort of thing, I when I look at it, I'm just all like, it's not solving any problems. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gangrenous infectious wound. It's just stupid. It's not solving the fucking issue. It's just covering it up and just letting it fester below. And eventually you're going to lose the damn limb. Best case scenario. Well, all right, Holy Blade. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call your dad an idiot. He went through a divorce with her once and then got remarried to her. What the fuck? See, in my last stream, I sat there and talked about sitting there and fucking with a snake, biting you, and then someone saying, oh, fuck with this snake, see if it'll bite you. With him, he fucked with the snake, it bit him, and then he started fucking with the same snake again. Damn. What the fuck? Yeah, and your dad should sit there and understand at this point that when that happened to him and she was sitting there and perfectly okay with him being homeless, that right there shows a complete and total lack of caring, if you ask me. You see, Trance, just go ahead and take off the "for my hate" there. Trance says people don't have compassion for my hate. Just take off the "for my hate." People don't have compassion. There you go. Boom. Now you've got a blatantly true statement. Hey, Warrior, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Oh, if he was in the military, why didn't he go stay at a base? Holy? Yeah, same old here as well, Warrior. Started off on a subject, and we're way off base now. But and actually, Trance just said the enemy is ruthless. And the thing is when I sit there and I see stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I can't blame people for sitting there and saying the enemy. Because the thing is I mean, what is an enemy? An enemy is someone or something or a group of someone's or a group of somethings that means to do you harm. Well, right now, a lot of people have a lot of enemies. Yeah, MA's got it right there. If you have compassion for those that lack compassion, you are light years ahead in thinking. If you surrender to those who would never surrender to you, you are lost. Yep, that's exactly it. And that's the reason why I have compassion for people. That's the reason why I try to empathize as much as I can with people, or sympathize if possible. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and bend a knee to said people, because the thing is at that point, all I'm doing is sacrificing myself and any furthering that I could have brought to the table. So why would I do that? But when we actually take a look at the situation, a lot of people are bringing it down to basically the mentality of, if you're not with us, then you're against us. And I don't subscribe to that. People can disagree on things. That's fine. They can disagree on some big things. Doesn't mean that they have to disagree on everything. Like, I hate this whole, if the liberals think this, then the conservatives think the opposite. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, there's some things that, the left and the right actually will agree on. But the way that they want to solve the issue is where the difference comes in. And it just becomes a giant clusterfuck at that point. And it then becomes a giant pissing contest. And we don't want that. We got enough pissing contests going on in the world right now. We don't need to add to the puddle. A conservative Democrat. That's the first I've ever heard that fucking uttered. Yeah, I don't go to any protests or anything like that either. I really don't see much of a point in it at this point. Not to mention, I'm not going to put myself into a dangerous situation when it's really not going to change shit. I mean, if I'm going to be putting myself into a dangerous situation, there has to be at least some guarantee of a payout. That's just how I fucking look at it. I think my life has a little bit more value than just being thrown away. Same thing with my health. I mean, I'm already throwing away my health by smoking cigarettes. I don't need to be sitting there and going out there and purposely putting myself in front of people that would rather see me dead. Oh, the thing is trans, not only can you be arrested at that point, but you can be arrested for getting your ass kicked. Like, even if you don't raise a hand to him, all it takes is a group of people saying, well, no, he attacked. It's all like, we got video evidence. He didn't fucking attack. You still get fucking arrested. Then you get your ass beat in fucking jail while you're waiting for them to sit there and get around to watching the video. And then they sit there and let you out and go, oh, sorry about that. It's like, are you paying for my medical bills? No. Me, the longest time I've been without food was 3 weeks. Chaz. And that sucked. I would not wish that on anyone. I'm not joking when I say I'm no stranger to being poor. So that's where I have an understanding about some shit. It's all like, look, I understand that there is some shitty stuff going on, but also at the same time, I don't believe in free handouts. I believe if someone's on welfare or something like that, they should be going through some sort of mandatory training and jobs be put out there for them. And if they're caught not, purposely bombing interviews and that sort of thing, they instantly get off of any and all benefits. And if they start to starve to death, that's their own fucking problem at that point. They had their fucking chance. Or if they're sitting there and taking drugs, keeping themselves from getting a job or something like that. At that point, I really don't think that they have any claim to say, oh, woe's me. You made your fucking choice. I think everyone should be held accountable for their choices. But I also believe everyone deserves a chance as well. But again, that's just me. And I'm trying to be pragmatic there. Because the thing is these people go out and get a job and get their feet back underneath them and that sort of thing, then that's one less homeless people on the street. That's one or less homeless person on the street. And it goes ahead and makes one more contributing member to society. The whole situation self-feeds in a positive way. You get yourself into a positive feedback loop. And then it gets people to be more independent at that point. That's what the welfare system should strive for, is to get people to be independent of said welfare. That's the only way that that welfare can work. But also at the same time, I don't think that your gender or race or anything like that should be taken into account when you have to apply for welfare. I don't think that it's right that a woman has a much higher chance of being approved for welfare than a man. And that even if a man and a woman in the exact same situation apply for welfare and both of them get welfare, the woman gets more welfare. They're trying to sit there and say that it's just naturally more expensive to be a woman, and that is absolute fucking bullshit. We all have the same basic needs. Well, no, trans. What I'm talking about there with that is get the people into an actual job so that they can get off of welfare. I'm not saying sit there and basically slave labor them out. I'm not saying that. I'm saying get them the skills that they need for a job based off of their skill sets and go. I mean, that's how it should fucking work. I don't think that based off of skin color, you should automatically be approved for business loans. I think that that's absolute bullshit. I don't think that you being an immigrant should automatically qualify you for anything. But I'm also one of those people that hates bigotry of low expectations. I think everyone should be viewed as just as capable as everyone else. And you should, I mean, unless you have some sort of actual disability, like, you're missing a leg or an arm or an eye or something like that, then yeah, take that into consideration. But at the same time, there's still stuff that even those people can do. And a lot of people sit there and say, oh, well, it's not going to get them out of it if they end up having to live with someone. It's all like a lot of people have to live with people. A lot of people have to have roommates. Well, that's also kind of a similar situation around here, Trance. Um, like around here, if you're working 40 hours at minimum wage, you're going to be pulling in less than $1,000 a month. And the thing is even low apartment rates here, you're looking at $450 to $500 a month, and that's on the low end. You don't really see lower than that unless someone's got HUD or something like that, which is a form of welfare. So, yeah, it's not easy, but at that point, that should spur you forward to try to get a job that isn't minimum wage. But the thing is, if you've got a roommate to split all those bills and everything with, and you're both out working a full-time job, then it's actually very livable. But a lot of people are like, oh, I want to live on my own. It's all like, well, if you can afford to do so, then yeah, do so. But if you can't afford to do so, find a roommate. I believe in living practically. But it's all like, you got to do what you got to do. Again, this comes down to putting in effort. If you want your situation to be better, it's going to take effort on your part. You can't just sit around and wait for someone to throw something into your lap. Because, like I said, nowadays people are all about number one. They're about themselves. So you can't expect people to just give you shit. Anyone who expects everyone to just give them shit is being exceedingly weak-willed at that point. And quite frankly, I think it's absolutely absurd to expect people to just give you shit. Like with me, I'm sitting here and I'm grappling with starting up a Patreon. I mean, yeah, I'm giving you guys entertainment and I'm giving you guys my opinions and that sort of thing, good talking points. At least I think they're good talking points, and I don't think you guys would be subscribed to me or be joining in on my live streams if you thought otherwise. But the thing is at this point, I'm all like, am I really earning it? Like even if it's like $1 a month from you guys, I don't have really anything else to give in exchange. That's the reason why I've been grappling with the whole Patreon thing. That's the reason why I hesitate on it. I mean, I'm not afraid of it going belly up. I'm not afraid of that. Because as far as Patreon's concerned, I'm not really investing anything. I've invested maybe 2 hours of my time. So if it goes belly up, I didn't really lose much. Worst case scenario, that's $30 as far as time is concerned. At least based off of where I live. So, and yes, I am still planning on starting up the Patreon. It's just, I don't know. It just feels kind of bare bones to me at this point. And Papa MGTOW brings up a good point. He says, being poor most of my life taught me to take care of what I have and live frugally. Yes, Same thing here. So yeah, it's just one of those things. But like I said, I mean, I'm going to be starting up Patreon, but I'm not expecting much from it. I mean, if you guys end up thinking that my time's worth it, then you'll pay me what you think my time's worth. That's cool. And if I make enough to where I can actually live off of it, which I've already said, my cost of living is actually exceedingly low. So it wouldn't be all that hard. But the thing is, if I was able to do that, then I could do this as a full-time job. And at that point, that takes away a lot of stress. And that means that you get a lot more candid content from me. And it would allow me to actually put more effort into it. You know, go out, find more stuff on my own, maybe stuff that other people haven't already covered. You know, that sort of thing. I would be able to dedicate that time to it. But as it is right now, you know, I mean, I gotta live. Even though my cost of living's low, I mean, I don't live for free, unfortunately. There is a cost associated with my very existence. And Trance, you're not entirely off the mark there. Trance says, "I think men must pay automatically bills for women in society." You're not too far off the mark there, because a lot of welfare and all that actually goes to women, and actually very little of it goes to men. But the vast majority of people paying into it are men, even with women making up 50% of the working force. The vast majority of the pay-in is from men, however. So yeah, that's a problem in and of itself. And it's one that needs to be addressed. But it's one that won't be addressed. Let's be realistic. Because they're still sitting there and trying to sell the wage gap myth. If they're not able to be truthful about that, what makes you think that they're going to be truthful about taxes? Or tax distribution, for that matter. But like I've said before, you know, I mean, there's ways that guys can get around it, you know? I mean, if you go ahead and you get good at a trade, you can work under the table. A lot of people are actually going to independent sites and that sort of thing, where, you know, they can hire skilled labor that's not from a major corporation or anything like that because they get a cheaper price and they typically get better quality, especially when the payment's made under the table. Because then if something goes wrong, it becomes a personal lawsuit. So that person that's doing the work, guess what? They're held liable for any damages caused. And so they have to be sure of their work. So yeah. I'm actually gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end the stream here, guys. Because now I'm just getting to the point of starting to kind of ramble on. But yeah, you know, like I said, we need to stop trying to, you know, blame other people for any issues that we're having. Go ahead and actually take a look at why the issue's happening, not look at necessarily who caused it, but what situation caused it. Don't don't sit there and say, "Oh, well, you know, yeah, you know, it was all this individual's fault," because honestly, it's very rare that an individual is the source of the actual problem. Usually that problem existed and that person just ended up being a lightning rod for it. And just put it on full display. So, but I wanted to go ahead. I wanted to get this out here because I saw that video that I linked down in the description, and it actually kind of pissed me the fuck off. It also kind of pissed me off because these people are sitting there and they got Google's dick so far down their fucking throat. They're so fucking scared of Google that they're willing to do anything to protect Google. Because they're all like, well, Google's where we make our money. Actually, you guys make the vast majority of your money off your patrons. So at that point, if Google starts going after you, just go to another site and people will follow you, or make your own website and people will go there and continue to pay into your Patreon. And then you have full control over your content. So I don't really see a fucking problem with that scenario. Like me, if I was to, with my Patreon, like if I was to make enough to start up my own website and be able to support that shit, oh, you better believe I'd fucking do that. But again, that's just me. But I actually like being completely independent. I don't like being dependent on anyone but myself. I don't like being beholden to anyone but myself. Because the thing is to me, the only person that can really judge me accurately is myself, because I'm the only one that knows what's going on in this melon of mine. And so at that point, the only judgment I really care about is my own. But on that, I'm going to say, have a good day, everyone. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you to everyone who came into the live stream. Appreciate all the interaction. I always appreciate the support from everyone. Have yourselves a great day. Peace.